Welcome to episode 7 of Yeah the Girls, the official Geelong Cats AFLW podcast brought to you by Deakin University, home to the world's #1 sports science school. Renee Gehring here. I'm joined by Georgie Rankin and Becky Webster, my co-hosts and teammates. Girls, how are we this afternoon?
Hello, Renee. How are you?
Good, thank you.
It's good to be back. We're back on a Tuesday again, so slight change up. We've had the long weekend. What's a long weekend to us?
A long weekend together.
A long weekend together, spending time on Saturday when we travelled, Sunday, played the game.
Tuesday.
Monday, we're back together.
I hope you still love me, girls.
Absolutely. No, we've got a big show lined up today. We'll look back on the weekend's game against the Bombers. We'll find out which cat is that. We'll be ranking with Rankin, Georgie Rankin that is, and we'll be joined by a very special guest, the Geelong Football Club's Head of Community, after spending the weekend away with him and his team, Will McGregor, to talk all things community camp and Warrnambool. So it's all of that and more thanks to Deakin. The game, it was a tussle against the Bombers. Obviously played them last year, same location, different result, unfortunately. Didn't get the result that we were after. 2-2 in the first quarter on the scoreboard, obviously keeping them to 0 in that first quarter. And then, as I said, a bit of a tussle for the rest of the game with Essendon coming away 29-19 by the end of the game. Girls, how are we feeling? We've had a bit of time to reflect. Obviously, we spent the weekend away together, and I suppose shared the disappointment from that game. But we had a bit of time. Look forward to reviewing this afternoon and get ourselves ready for Freo this weekend. But yeah,
absolutely. I think if we sort of cut out Sunday's game, overall, I thought we had a really lovely weekend together. We got to come down, have community camp, as we'll touch on with Will. But, throwing to the game, I feel a little bit disappointed, to say the least, and I think that was probably more of a reflection on how we sort of went as a collective. I don't think, hands down to Essendon, they came out stronger, better. They wanted the footy more. How they won wasn't pretty either. They didn't have really great ball movement or anything like that. We just didn't match them in the contest, to be honest. And reflecting on the game, we will later tonight a bit more. But personally, I think there'll be a bit of hard learnings taken away from it. Probably more so just a bit of a lack of connection across the lines. And we'll touch on that this afternoon and move forward. It's nothing like been repeatedly happening.
No, it's
it was
nothing
just
to
sort
dramatise or anything. I actually think there were some really great conversations that actually came out the back of the game. There's a few ones that from that, as you've said, Becky, of that connection across the lines that we probably internally started having with a few people from other lines going, what do you need more from us here? Or, I would love to actually know what the feedback's going to be for, each line group, so we're hearing kind of what everyone is reflecting on, and that will just continue to grow. Connection is one of our values, and it'll continue to build on that a lot. But I agree with everything you've said of that disappointment, and it is going to be hard learnings, but there's actually a lot of good conversations that I think are going to come out of it, and that little fire in the belly that is always good, to get that spark back as well.
And I think in, AFLW, it's sort of, you do ponder on these sort of games because you're like, we only have 10 rounds.
Yes.
It is quite annoying, but as you said, having time to sort of reflect and have those deeper conversations with your teammates because, I know people say it, but to have success and feel that drive and success as well, I want to look back and be like, we rode the wave and, these next few weeks, will come off the back of hard times and challenging times and having those difficult conversations and wanting to get better. So, as much as it's sort of reflecting on how we played as a team and stuff like that, there'll be some really great positive things I think that will come out of this little hiccup.
Yeah, and keeping... Sorry, Nay. I'm so sorry. But to keep us all, again, connected, I'm trying to find another word for it, but it really is keeping us all connected of, you may find in the past that you've had a game like that and say we're at home and you then spend your Sunday or your Monday in your own in your own company, in your own space, and who you sort of, you still reach out to people, but to be able to lean into each other, or, if you did sort of feel like, you know what, I just want my own time and space, well, you're going to end up being around the group anyway, because we've got the community camp the next day.
Yep.
So being able to be with, I guess, your people, the people who have actually gone through that with you there and then
completely
was probably the perfect environment to a degree.
Yeah, there was no sort of like hiding behind the fact of these conversations needed to sort of be had, and like great conversations as well. Like as you said, G, like I remember coming back from the game, going to the hotel, and a few of us sort of just congregated in Meg's room without her permission. We were sort of like, we're coming in. You know, we had multiple rep from forwards, backs, mids.
Yeah. We had the same thing. I think there was a few hallway chats, and there was a different carload that we jump into later. And you're right, it was like that across the board, which will bring so much goodness coming into this week.
Completely.
That's it. I think we know what our best friend of footy looks like, feels like. We know what we can bring, and it's that. Well, now let's put that together and focus on doing that for consistent 4 quarters, and get that feeling again. And then obviously, like, the scorelines then sort themselves out. And I suppose that's it. Walking away from the weekend, we didn't always feel like our best brand of footy and what we wanted to be doing out there. So let's review, let's get into training, get back out there together.
Review, reset, and let's go again.
Go.
It's a good thing about footy, isn't
exactly
it?
right.
Week in, week
It
out.
comes around again quickly, doesn't it?
And you got to be able to bring yourselves up and bring yourselves down when you need to. So that's important.
And we're back home. Big game this weekend against Freo on Saturday, 3:05. Nice afternoon game.
And we've got some milestones,
which is
great.
So great. Shannon Emerson, big 50 games, obviously starting her career at Melbourne and then joining us. And since joining us, she has just made a huge impact on our team, not just on the field. I think it was in her first season that she moved into the leadership group. Voted in there by players and staff because of the impact that she has through action, but through who she is and the way that she goes about everything that she does. That quiet achiever, she just does that.
She's got a great dry sense of humour. She is funny. I'd love. We got to get her on eventually. We didn't catch her this time around, but it would be great to get Shan on.
Yeah. So the big 50 games for Shan. So congratulations, Shan, and looking forward to her having another brilliant game, having an awesome season as we've seen. And Zali Friswell, the Frizz, is having 25 games this week, and
I love this.
Oh, so excited for her. This is going to be so great to celebrate. And Frizz is very hard on herself. She's I think everyone that's coming into sort of the elite sporting environment is, but I know lately she's been really working on reflecting on what her best footy looks like, and she's had chats with Neens, which I love. There's reaching out to someone who, Nina is still so young, but she's our vice captain and she's so wise in that space. So I know they've been doing a bit of work together. She's such, in her off season, the time and effort that she put into, she came back so fit. You watch that girl, she just glides across the ground.
Oh, yeah. Can run. And she did on the weekend.
She did. She really backed her speed in a couple of times, and she's just beautiful. I love little Frizz.
Yeah, I do. I was lucky enough to have her as a little housemate when she first moved down, and just watching her now play 25 games, I kind of look back and I'm like, God, I swear I played 25 games last week, and now Frizz is playing 25 games, and I'm like, God, we feel like a big family with the Friswells, with her mum and dad. And
they have invited us around for roast. Actually, I wonder if they've remembered. That's meant to be on Wednesday, so
interesting.
We'll see if we get the message, but there is roast.
We love that. But super excited for the girls and their milestones at home.
That is it. And Frizz was one that we wanted to mention for a special mention for our High Performer of the Week from the weekend's game, presented by our high performance partner, Deakin University, a global leader in sport education. So there was some individuals that really stepped up in their roles on the weekend, as much as we talked about the game as a whole and the result. A few special mentions. We've got Croc. Croc again, her pressure around the ball on the weekend. She played a few different roles on the wing, up high forward.
Absolute utility, Croc.
Yeah.
Such a utility.
And she did. She got clearances. I think at one point she got through the middle and as well as the work around the ball, and I think laying some great tackles as well. So
she brings that grunt. There's players that you go, if you see them, just that act of bravery, or it doesn't even, need to be anything massive, but she might just lay a bump on someone, or she might literally come in and block, and that person's out of there. And I just look and go, you know what, I'm going to follow you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
She just does that, sets the standard, and is one of those energy lifters, I find.
Mm-hmm.
She was. Prez was big again in her 25th game against her sister, Maddie, having her 50th
great.
game. It was moments where I saw them just from the
Head to
sideline.
head,
I was watching them and I was like, the two of them just taking each other on. I'm like, I'm sure that I can just picture you as like 10 years ago, 15 years ago in the backyard doing this together. And to see them first time as Maddie for the Bombers against Prez was great to see, and did some great work there. I think I've seen some footage of it. The clearance from Ez straight to Prez, straight through the middle up the guts to Aisling. I'm like,
that was textbook.
That was so good.
But the way that she moves onto the ball, a lot of preseason I was put against Prez, and she's so hard to stop when she starts moving, and the way that she moves and works through a stoppage is great. So another great game by Prez. But the high performer of the week, Becky, do you want to touch on who we're going with this week?
Yeah, so we're going for the big tall girl, Ezzy. She was amazing. And also shout out to Kate Darby. I thought both our rucks this week were very dominant, and they've been working really hard on their aggression and getting up and over. And I think each week Ez is just getting better in that space every time. So her ability to get her hands first on the ball and give us some really good looks around the contest was great. So big shout out to Ez, working really hard in that space, and it's paying off. So good job, Ez.
Awesome, Ez. And we should mention Gunj as well. I think she's named in Team of the Week.
Team of the Week this week.
So solid in the back line too. She was. So well done, Gunj. All right, we've touched on the game. We should mention it's also Geelong round. I think we'll talk a little bit more with Will shortly about that. But Geelong round this weekend, the jumper, I believe, the Guernsey's just been, we've just seen that come out through social media and is looking great. We've seen it with the men's team. But again, some photos of, I think it was Prez and Jack
that's great.
wearing that. So looking forward to everything that this weekend will bring. So we will be back, as I just mentioned, with Will McGregor, our special guest, after a short break.
There's a reason Deakin Sports Management course attracts the greatest talent the nation has to offer. Because when you join the longest running sports management course in Australia, you'll gain access to unique opportunities with leading clubs and organisations. Their partnership with Geelong Football Club, multi-elite industry partners, will open the door to exciting placement experiences that connect you with the best athletes, managers and administrators in sport. Help shape the future of the sports industry. Secure your part in the golden decade of sport. Head to deakin.edu.au.
And we're back. And on the back of our community camp in Warrnambool, we have special guest, Head of Community, Will McGregor. Welcome, Will. First time to a podcast, I heard.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. I'm feeling a little bit nervous sitting next to you all, but thank you for having me.
Do you love your voice in the microphone and the headphones?
I think everyone doesn't really like the sound of their own voice today, so.
No, we're really excited to have you on, and we've just spent a weekend away with you, and we'll touch on Warrnambool shortly. But you've had a lot of experience in football and in with the community prior to coming to the Cats. Been here since February. Can you tell us a little bit about your role as Head of Community and what your experiences prior to this point and how they've led into this role?
Yeah, thanks. I think for me, a lot of my experiences have probably led me to this point. And I grew up in country Victoria in a little town called Penshurst. Was very much involved in community sport from a young age. Both my parents were involved in a lot of different committees related to sport. I lived right next to the Penshurst Footy Oval, so if it wasn't playing cricket there, football, it was trying to hit golf balls from one end of the ground to the other through the goals. So I just grew up around it, was very much influenced by all those around me. And I studied exercise science at Ballarat Uni, and from there I went to uni with Renee, actually.
There you go.
Straight A student, like everything else that she does. So my first role was with the Hawthorn Footy Club in the strength and conditioning department. But I sort of reasonably quickly identified that probably wasn't quite for me, and was fortunate enough to land a role with the Victorian Country Footy League as a community footy operations manager, which at the time I was quite young and some opportunities opened up as AFL Victoria essentially, or the VCFL was consumed by AFL Victoria. Sort of further opportunities arose, worked in a lot of sort of community footy operation roles across the state, and then sort of from there an opportunity opened up to come down to Geelong, which I was fortunate for the last few years prior to a previous role, was the general manager of AFL Barwon. So obviously AFL Barwon oversees or governs community football and netball within this region. So about 20,000 participants, 44 clubs, and 4 different leagues. So it's probably where I fell in love with community, and it's where my link with the Geelong Footy Club started very strongly. My relationship with Sarah Albin and the community team and the interactions that we had. And I probably saw myself at some point, dreaming about a role like this. And then when the opportunity came up and I applied for it, I probably didn't have any expectations that I would be successful. But once I got involved in the process, I really wanted to be here even more. I'm fortunate to be here. And it's probably a long-winded answer, but I always count myself lucky. I pinch myself every day I walk in here. I love what I do, and the impact we have in community is significant, and a lot of that's thanks to people such as yourselves.
So you touched on at the start of that, Will, about, you obviously grew up out in the country or in a little small country town. So in terms of, you say there how you were dreaming about getting into a role like this, what is it where does that passion come from? Is it back to that when you were, living in a small town yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, like the opportunities that come when you grow up in a little country town. I loved my upbringing. Amazing, we were probably footloose and fancy free in regards to kids. There wasn't much rules around what we did in and around the community, which was awesome. But in regards to opportunity, it was probably, now I reflect as I'm a little bit older and I see my 2 little boys starting to grow up and the opportunities they will have in and around a bigger regional city like Geelong. Opportunities are probably limited, which probably piqued my interest. And when I look back now and I see, as an example of, when we went back to the Western District just gone, there wasn't too many times when we had visibility, if that makes sense. And we spoke about that a little bit on the weekend. So our stars or people that we aspired to be, it wasn't very often that we had people like that within our own town. So the impact that we had across the weekend really hit home to me. And, the smiles that you put on a lot of school kids' faces and young girls at the clinic last night was something that can never really actually be measured. But, in years to come, it might be one of those girls that's actually running around out here like you are.
Nice. Well, I think, I don't know about you girls, but sometimes you just forget how much of an influence you have on these young girls. And even being down in Warrnambool before the game, me and Kate Darby went to the supermarket to just get some, snacks and running into a couple of the young girls with their mum, and they were like, "Oh, you don't happen to play AFL footy, do you?" And then they were like, "Oh, we were just talking about me, Becky, around the kitchen table last night." And I was just like, that is crazy to think. And as you said, that, just showing your face down that sort of way in country. I grew up in Benalla, and having the AFL boys come to the school was super important. And you just, you remember it right in front of you. So, going down to Warrnambool, Will, we did a lot besides playing, but did you want to sort of touch on the weekend itself? It was, a fantastic turnout from the community down in Warrnambool and surrounding. But, do you want to sort of touch on how that just doesn't happen overnight? There's a lot of work that goes into it and what we got up to.
Yeah, there's heaps of planning that goes into it. I think Jess Dangerfield, who obviously drove the camp, and a lot of the thanks has to go to her, and Amy McDonald within the team. But I think what you probably noticed on the weekend was there's a significant contribution from many within the club, the MDC team, the commercial team. We ran a great promotion with Dulux on the weekend where Portland Footy Club were fortunate enough to have their whole club rooms painted, or a portion of it from our end. And, to see Steve Hocking as a CEO, Rosie King on our executive, Dan Lowther from a coaching angle, Nina and the rest of the playing group literally with a paintbrush in hand doing that. The impact on Portland Footy Club, was really well received. Some great feedback from the club. But, and the reason why we're down there, just I suppose for a bit of context, is the AFL or AFL Victoria actually break up the state in regards to fan engagement zones. So our fan engagement zone stretches from basically here all the way to Portland. So essentially we have a bit of an obligation to give back and assist in the growth of the game. So hence why we were down there over the last couple of days.
On that, so probably a bit interesting to, not interesting, that's probably not the right word, but as you said, Hock and Rosie King, they were there, they were getting involved. I'm actually going to throw you now because I'm probably going to steal your thunder. You did mention before how it was quite unique to see Hock there in his suit painting the rooms. So now I've basically taken your example. I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there any other unique community, whether it's experiences or partnerships or appearances that you've seen or been a part of or know of players, going along to?
I can't think off the top of my head. I don't know if you girls can jump in at all. But yeah, I mean, uniqueness, not necessarily from a humour perspective, but I was fortunate enough to go to East Arnhem Land this year, which again is in our, we have an NGA zone. So East Arnhem Land is our NGA zone. So from a unique perspective, some of the insights and opportunities that arose from that trip were significant. It was essentially, I don't know, if you know the movie Friday Night Lights, but there was one night where literally the community turns on the lights at the Oval. There's a couple of basketball courts, and all of a sudden you just see the community filter down onto the ground, and there was a couple of hundred people either playing basketball, eating from the barbecue, or just training. And yeah, that was an awesome night. We got involved.
That is
from
so
a
cool.
training standpoint.
Is that the one that Belle went along to
Correct,
as well?
yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and what a ripper she is. She was so good on the trip. A heap of fun.
So
Isn't it great when you sort of like, Will, you're reflecting on those sort of things and you just forget, like it gives a bit of perspective, doesn't it? You just like those young kids just coming out to have fun and just do their thing and don't think too seriously about life. And yeah, it sort of just makes you open your eyes a little bit. And I felt like that over the weekend as well. And yeah, it was just a nice weekend and great to reflect on it.
Yeah. I think at times like we've got to remind ourselves that we're, we get to do what we do, and we get to interact with you girls and the male players, quite often, and we probably get a bit numb to it. But, the impact that you have with people that don't have the access that we do is really significant.
Will, your team's constantly doing different things to partner with the community and to get involved in the community. For our listeners, is there anything key in the next, the rest of this season or in the next few months that they can be looking forward to connect in or be part of from our community team?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Renee. We're constantly doing something, and probably we find it very difficult to say no, which is always a challenge. But upcoming, we move straight from the community camp in Warrnambool into Geelong round this weekend. We'll certainly have. We've had some invitations out to the First Nations community to come and celebrate that round with us. So we'll have a function upstairs. And a lot of the Geelong participants that were part of our program earlier in the year will be back here supporting that through Guard of Honour experiences and the like. And then later on in round 10, we'll be celebrating Pride Round and the LGBTIQ A+ community. And we've got Michaela Bowen within our own team, who's obviously a player, but also our diversity and inclusion coordinator in community, driving a lot of that behind the scenes. There's some great things going on. I won't put it out there too yet until we get tick of approval, but we're really excited to collaborate with Hawthorn. And while I know it'll be from an opposition sense, we'll be trying to absolutely win that game. From an off-field sense, we'll be trying to celebrate together. And there's some planning going on around how we can do that.
That's great. And I suppose from a player's perspective, we love the different things that we get to be involved in the community, and we are really appreciative of the time that goes on behind the scenes and you and your team and the thinking that goes on and the communication that goes on with people within the community to create those opportunities. So on behalf of the players, a thank you for that. If there's no other questions, I think it's time for Which Cat Is That?
Let's do it.
Are we ready? Will is a listener, he told me, so he knows how to play. For those that are listening at home, if you're first time listening, the game is Which Cat Is That? It is a bit of a who am I of our playing group. The scoreline is 2.5 to G. I'm still not sure on that one, but 2.5 to G, 2 to the guests, and Becky's on the 1 point. So last week we had a point where Becky and G had not guessed after the 8 clues the correct answer.
I was about to say,
the correct answer, sorry. So they'd had a guess each. We got to that point, and then I went back to the first guess, which was guesser, which was G, and she got a second go at it, and that was the half point. So if we get to that point and we get to the 8 clues, we go back to the first person again if we need to, just to clarify the rules there for everyone. But
Rules on the fly, really.
Can I just ask, do we buzz in?
We do buzz in. That's great.
Yes.
So we're not too creative on our buzzers. They mix up a little bit.
G.
Becky always goes with the buzz even when
I stuff it up every bloody time.
if her buzzer is something else. But let's go through the buzzers. Becky, what are you going with today?
I'll try to remember, but I'll just go Becky.
Becky, okay. Will, what are you going to go for? Bzz. Bzz. Oh, I like it. G, what are you?
I'm sticking with G.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's begin. All right. First clue. This cat has played VFLW for the Cats. This cat is a middle child. This cat can't whistle.
Can't whistle.
I feel like you've got an advantage here.
Yeah, there's a little bit of advantage to G and Becky on this one. This cat has played in more than one position this season. This cat has studied at university, but isn't currently.
I'm just going to go for it.
Go for it.
Is it Bowie?
It's not Bowie. All right,
G.
G's out.
Well, we
What
said
other
there was one
position
of
has she
two.
played?
All right.
Well, when you think about it,
Right.
wing, on ball, who knows? She may have been flipped forward. Has she played in the VFL though?
no.
I was purely going off the conversation
She came
pre-potty.
out,
I
she
thought
did.
I'm going to go early.
WA.
She's in the community team.
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's okay.
Can't whistle.
All right. This is clue 6. Every year, this cat gets a Santa photo with her dog.
Oh, what do I...
Oh my God. Wait, is it? Oh my
You
gosh.
can't guess.
Oh
G,
no.
you're
Oh
out.
no. I know exactly where this is.
Before either of them started footy, this cat and Shelley Scott competed against each other in another sport.
Stop.
Do you know it, G?
Yes.
Another sport, another.
It's not you, is it, Renee?
It is.
As soon as the dog one, I should have waited one
And
more.
my last one,
Renee.
this cat was born in the 80s, was my last clue. Yeah, the girls had picked up. I do try and make it so that the guest might know the person, and the girls were thinking community people, but
You played me there.
we did go to uni
Well
together. So when you said
God.
that before, I'm like, the girls are gonna be thinking it's got to be the
I
two
should've
community
known.
girls or Renee.
That is gold because I do know you always with Leo.
And we do get a
You
photo.
always get a photo.
But we did
I
it
was
for
like,
ages
who gets a photo? I know there's someone in my head, but I just didn't even.
Yes.
So Shelley played netball.
She played netball. We used to play centre against each other. She played for Colac, actually. Yeah, we always had a good run around against each other.
And you can't whistle, Renee.
I can't whistle. I try all the time.
Can you please give us a go?
Hey, it's not very good feeling, but I just can't. So I've got my whistler on my neck when I'm PE teacher, obviously. So I'm thankful to that because I can't do the
Oh
wolf
my
whistle or a normal
God.
whistle.
Oh, that's
So
gold.
I think I might have to retire from this segment.
no. So
Bore.
the guests are in the lead on 3 points, followed by G on 2.5,
Oh,
Becky
true.
on
Now they've jumped ahead.
the 1 point. But a
Good
big
job,
thank
Will.
you, Will, for coming on, for winning the Which Cat Is That? Doing
Well
it
done.
to the guests. Thank you for all the planning for your team over the weekend. It was great to spend some time with you all as well. We see you in brief opportunities when we have appearances and different things. But great to have you on. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you very much, and yeah, huge shout out to the weekend and all the work that you did, but everything that you do ongoing. And I think for me, I've inherited a role that has had a significant contribution to the community prior to me. So my obligation is to continue that going, and with your support, I know we're on the right track. So thanks heaps.
Thanks, Will.
We'll be back after a short little break with Rankin with Georgie Rankin. The club is hosting the next instalment of our business networking events, Connect in Hoops, in November, in line with our annual business lunch. This year, we're pleased to welcome Martin Heppel from the Resilience Project, where he'll be performing a presentation themed Discovery Resilience. Fox Sports presenter Sarah Jones will be facilitating the event as we hear about integrating gratitude, empathy, kindness and mindfulness into our everyday lives. Thursday, November 2nd, 12:45 in the President's Room at GMHBA Stadium. Visit membership.geelongcats.com.au for details. We are back and it is time for Rankin with Georgie Rankin.
All right, here we go. Do you know what? I was driving in the car this morning and because we only got back yesterday, I was actually with Dad and I'm like, I don't think I've got us. Like, I don't have a rank for this week.
Don't have a rank.
And he just looked at me with this look that's like, yeah, you do. Come on now.
Yeah,
so anyway,
yeah.
we do have one. And it is When in Warrnambool.
When in Warrnambool.
Love it.
So starting in at number 5 was this week, there must have been a bit of a room mix-up and what was meant to be the captain's suite or what we've had in the past actually went to another McDonald with AMAC getting the prestigious suite.
I'm not surprised. She did organise a lot of the weekends.
That's true. All right. Oh, maybe we've caught her out there. So we were very fortunate to get the version of AMAC's suite tour and I think my favourite part was the shout out to the heating and cooling.
We all had that though, didn't we?
Ducted heating, cooling, evaporative system, plus the split system and also a fan. So, we had everything. Putting background in real estate, I was very impressed. I thought, look, you go, AMAC. Just
so good.
All the upgrades throughout our accommodation. So
Meg just got the standard this week.
She did try and say, no, that's what I've got. And we're like, you have a cooktop and an oven and a separate couch. And it was just like, no.
I love how she said she was making mockery and was like, it's not going to go for 4 minutes. And it went for like 3 something.
Yeah.
And I was like, pretty much.
You've done pretty well. So well done, AMAC. Number 4 was the country music playlist pre-game. And as someone myself who I'm a country music fan. We've got a few in the team. I think they did a pre-game interview with Chook, Brooke Plummer.
Oh, yeah.
And she loving it. She loved it. I will say there were a few there that I didn't know, but straight away they said, oh, what are 2 of your favourites they've gone? She's gone bang, bang.
Yeah.
She
Oh
knew
my God,
them.
I love this.
Yeah.
And the artist, you got Belzer loves it. I think Rach gets around it. So a few of us were having a little jam. I think me and Gunj actually walked out at, might have been 3/4 time, singing along to Country Roads Take Me Home.
Oh, yeah, no, I did sing along to that too.
I think that was on repeat. I heard that a few times throughout the game.
Oh, take me home.
Nailed it, Becky. So that came in at number 4. Number 3, we had dinner at the RSL on the Saturday night pre-game. Actually, the Bombers were also there. They were in another room. And we had a happy birthday sing-off for Ethel. A local who came along to the RSL. And so Bombers went first and we went second. They called it a tie.
90th.
I want to say
Wasn't it?
90th.
Yeah, they had the balloons, didn't they?
Had the balloons. And
I lost my voice and I'm putting it down to that. Singing happy birthday.
I agree. But I just loved it. So happy birthday, Ethel.
And we
Happy birthday,
definitely won. They called it a draw, but
we won.
We stood up.
We
We were
won.
very loud.
We were standing up. We even
Yeah.
took the microphone, whereas all I could hear when they were singing was him on the microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So well done, Ethel.
Yeah.
You come in at number 3. Then number 2 was on the Monday morning. A few people had been up and about, gone for their swim, probably had their coffee. I was one who was actually still in bed, and next thing the fire alarm goes off and we have to evacuate. So I'm in my pajamas, open the front door, Spud walks out of her room. She's in her towel.
Oh, God.
And she's like, is this real? I think Scotty was in her, like, bathe the top and jocks.
Oh, no.
It was cold. Anyway, so we've all headed down and out the front. I think Abby turned up about 10 minutes later after the rest of us. I think that was a moment of going, has anyone heard from Abby?
She sleeps in. She always gets to brekkie like 5 minutes before it finishes.
Yeah.
So we're like, where is she?
Where is she? So I ended up, lucky I had Belle with me. A few of us decided, well, they've fire trucks turning up. They've got to, go and check it out. So I just walked down in my pajamas. I didn't have shoes on, and Belle gave me a hoodie, and a few of us went for coffee. But
I love that. Meanwhile, I was left early to go to Portland to do some painting, and I was around the corner getting a coffee, and I've seen the fire trucks go past, and I was having a giggle with the girl saying, I bet you that's the motel, and someone's burnt some fruit toast. Lo and behold, apparently it was. So.
Well, I think it was. It definitely smelled like burnt toast. And last year, I'm pretty sure it was me that also burnt.
Well, Susie told me because I put my toast in vertically, and she's like, "Oh, Renee, you need to not do that because it caught fire last year. And I was like, oh, okay, Susie, sorry.
Caught up at the back and like the actual piece of toast, there was a flame and everything.
Oh my.
And anyway, it didn't set the fire off last time, so lucky. But I just did love seeing everyone roll out there. I'm pretty sure Dubs was in towels.
Well, they just went to the beach. They were freezing, those girls. I'd seen them get back from the beach and they're all going for showers. So I think Croc said she was in the shower as it started to go off. So it was funny.
So there we go. That was number 2. And when in Warrnambool, number 1 goes to our community visits. We've obviously touched on it a lot, but what a beautiful time. The kids are absolutely gorgeous. They just are so receptive to everything. They ask some beautiful questions. We obviously were rolling out the Healthy Heroes program, followed by a bit of a clinic, and even some of their answers, like I think one of the ones when Renee, you were our facilitator, and it was, what do you like to do when you're not on your screens? And little boy puts his hand up and he said, I like to walk across the road and play with my best friend in the park. And I was like,
oh my God,
so
that's
great.
So
great.
Melting. Someone came up to Gunj and said, I really like your smile. And I was like,
beautiful.
I thought you said you went up to Gunja.
One of the kids. And even at the end with Jackie, Nay and I, when we were at our first school, there was a little boy that came up at the end of the clinic and put his hand out and said, thank you so much for visiting my school, and shook my hand. And I'm like, this is grade 3 and 4. Just appreciated so much us being there and giving our time. So, it was tiring and we'd come off a loss, but it was so worth it. So worth it. So there is my when in Warrnambool, Rankin with Rankin.
Rankin
So
with Georgie
good.
Rankin.
Loved
I love it.
Great weekend, wasn't it? Some great moments there. So thank you, G. We have a big week ahead, getting ourselves sorted and organised and ready for a big game against Freo. Geelong around 3:05 this weekend, GMHBA. Hopefully we see lots of people down on the weekend. But that is it for today. Thank you for listening. Thanks to our sponsors, Deakin University. We hope to see you all again next week.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.